Blessings, everyone. How are you doing this evening?
All right.
Welcome to the final episode of Word Crawl this evening. This is how we're closing it out here at Cité Hearts. I am your host, Alex Poetic Soul Johnson. And just real quick, please give Cité Arts, give Danny a round of applause for sponsoring us again this year. Give yourselves a round of applause. Raise your hand if you've been here since this morning, since 12 o'clock at ACA. Okay, what about 2 o'clock? Who's been here since 2 o'clock? Not yet? Not yet? Next year you have to make sure to catch it from 12 p.m. all the way to 12 a.m. It's an adventure to ride along with us. So today, for our Word Crawl event, we have our featured poets that have gained sponsorship to gain a 10-minute slot. We do have a timekeeper to make sure we are staying within the 10 minutes. Angel, if you don't mind, please raise your hand. Poets, Angel will raise her fingers, 2 fingers, to let you know that it's 2 minutes, 1 minute to let you know that there's 1 minute left. You guys don't seem ready. I feed off of your energy. I've been here since 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock this morning. You know, all of us, you know, we're kind of delusional now. So poets, if you're here to perform tonight, I need you to scream real loud. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and call up the first poet to the mic. I have some other administrative things I'll say later, but Miss Jo Heather. Always an avid reader. She did not start writing until 2014. She is a visual wizard of Magnolia Shed and a poet by happy accident. Please give it up for Miss Jo Heather.
Turned out better than I thought. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. This one's called Fire. No one can break your heart the way your child can. No lover, no friend. Sometimes that heartache makes a harbor in lusty hungers, grabbing touch. You suckle on others the way that babe used to suckle on you. Longing for something to hold you down. There's usually drinking involved, and a marching band of orphan men that you so desperately need to save, even if just in one orgasmic moment. Your head becomes full of maybes, a room full of ghosts. You start talking to them. One day they move out of your mind cage and into your house. A ghost in a cage. What an odd idea, as ghosts can go through walls. But even then, they have their own cages of time and place, trapped in moments, haunted by what-ifs and I should-haves. They come and go, as do the tears. At some point, something rains on this drunken circus, and all its painted colors wash into everything gray. This is when you buy a cat. Maybe a dog, but probably a cat. You just can't live without something that sometimes hates you just a little bit. Thank you. And this one's called Moon. I wish you could see what I am seeing, but it's too dark in this hammock in my head. If I tried to take a picture, it would just look black. But if you sat with me for a bit and let your eyes adjust, you could see this glitter, these stars and fireflies, these sweet memories and longed-for kisses. Hey, look at how the colorless leaves shudder at the caress of the wind. If I wait long enough, I can even see the night birds fly and the shadows that the moon has cast. Oh, to sit in a moon shadow and get to know all its hues. My dark and stormy darlings, that is love indeed. Learn to fall in love with the moon, not just when she is full and round and yielding, but also when she is dark and flat. Or when she is a sliver so sharp you could cut your dreams on her, and she creates an ache in you that just might kill you. Love the magical things she awakes in you, and the dark and hungry things too. Love her soft cricket music, accompanied by a warm embrace, but also her lonely touch. Love her great and love her terrible. Love her until you love all the light and all the shadow she casts in you. This one's called The Poles of Red and Blue. I remember the day you were brought home from the hospital. Dad and I went to pick y'all up. The night before, I watched Dad as he sat on a stool playing his guitar. The 9 o'clock whistle blew. I asked him why. I was always asking why. He said that's how you knew when it was time to come home. You were born in the old St. Joseph's. I remember the color red, which is odd for a hospital, but appropriate for a Scorpio. I also have this vivid, horrible memory of your first diaper change. It was blue, the room, but also your shit. It was a black blue and I gagged on the smell. The smell colored my picture of you, of boys. Boys are blue and smelly and cigarettes. I was curious about your new belly button because it looked like one of the cigarettes that Mom had quit smoking. I thought maybe she put them in your belly now. Maybe that's why I never took to smoking cigarettes. But I do like to smoke joints. Mom wants me to do that while reading the Bible. I like the idea, though, of rolling up a joint and some scripture and lighting it on fire. Let what is true remain. This is not a desire of heresy. It is because, to cast a spell, I write it down and let it burn away. The truth in the spell stands and changes my world. The weak is given back to God. Consider it an editing process. That may be a dangerous story, but I like surviving stories. As in, I do like stories about survival, but I mean to say I like surviving a story. And that was always our story. Surviving the poles of red and blue. This one's called Because of Venus and Mars. What's my story? Well, it starts off with Venus in retrograde, which means I will always struggle with loving myself and expressing love to others. But before I knew about Venus and what happens when she looks back, my battles with love stemmed from the fact that before the age of 1, I found out that it doesn't take much for another human to want to murder you. Oh, okay. Murder's a strong word. I don't think my mother wanted to murder me. I think she just wanted me to stop crying forever. Regardless, I'm hyper aware that one can spend a great deal of time and energy growing and nurturing something, and then one day decide, despite all that work, it's time to snuff it out. I guess we all need to eat. But someone has to make Venus look ahead. So, fast forward, 30-something years later, Grand Coteau. Everyone is drunk. Someone has a game of stump going. A guy shot himself in the stomach with a BB gun. Like I said, everyone is drunk and dancing with death. We must have done the wrong dance. The plan is to ceremoniously kill a calf, but some things don't want to die. Before everything, I looked the calf in the eye. We talked, he and I. And then I walked into the woods and prayed. I prayed, if you are not meant for me, then just let it die. The next morning, the calf refused to die. The humans were not exact enough to kill it quickly, and the fiddles could not cover its cries. You didn't walk away. Neither did I. Some things just refuse to die. I can't win against love, but I still don't know how to lose myself to it. This one's called Meet in the Middle. God is all of us collectively. Collectively, we are all of God, engaged in a dance of inhaling and exhaling, curling and stretching, imploding and exploding. Occasionally, he and we collide in the middle, blurring the lines between universe and atom. Atoms press against other atoms in a desire to feel something other than themselves. To still their loneliness, they seek intercourse, crashing into one another, abandoning duality and embracing oneness. You cannot tell where one ends and one begins. They become alpha and omega, horizon and sky, the orgasm, love's confusing joy, where it all ends, everything, and where it all begins. That explosive ecstasy, that moment and eternity, that coupling, gives focus to an energy and a new life is born. Movement happens, creating waves of sound, their patterns and rhythms being the song that you hear right now. Shadow, light, line, texture, color, shape, space, and form create the ballroom dance of the image before your eyes. And then there is breath. The caress of memory on your inhale, the crashing release of the exhale, and the undulating attempt to fill the void in between. The hunger, the longing, the suffering for a turkey sandwich in your mouth right now. Yearning for a human touch is what creates a new world, a new universe, and the cycle repeats. An element is born, and somewhere a star explodes, scattering its seed across the universe, saying, I am. Chasing bees. I'm not good at lines. It's because they're not real. Only colors are true, because they breathe, motion, inhale, exhale, taking in different spaces, riding waves either with grace or glory, opening and closing the being in between. Sometimes I draw precise lines, and sometimes I just can't see right. But I see something else in there, like hawks and you. Both bring clarity to my dreams. I'm like a puppy out here, learning, instincts and intuition, chasing bees, little scorpions of the sky. It's the air that makes them sweeter, full of honey and only a little poison. Thank you.
Let's give it up. Just thank you again, Joe Heather. Poets, y'all still ready?
Ready.
She was good. Festival Awards strives to inspire creative expression and a higher level of literacy to residents of St. Landry Parish and throughout Acadiana. We especially reach out to an underserved population. So please, guys, donate, donate, donate. The tip jar is in the back. If you hear a dope line from a poet, that means you should pull out a dollar and just, I mean, yeah, when you hear the line, it's like, oh, that was dope. And I can curse now. Oh, that shit was dope. And then, I mean, I'll come and I'll pick up the tips, you know, we can just spread it like that. Throw money at the poets. Ready for the next poet?
Yeah.
This is one of my good friends, actually. I haven't seen him read in a while. J.K. yes, right? But it's much better if you stop putting the poets up here reading and like that. You just run up and just throw. Don't throw pennies though. Throw dollars. J.K. McDowell, artist, poet, and mystic, is author of the poetry collections Night, Mystery, and Lights from Homebound Publications. Please give a warm round of applause to J.K. McDowell.
Thank you, Poetic Soul. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to read some new material that will be appearing in my second collection, which comes out next year. And I'll also read a few from Night, Mystery, and Light. This first poem is called Heal Us. Our beloved Ophelia was buried today. I was not there. Too many rats behind curtains, too many steak knives at the table, no breath. Elsewhere we lost 2 more in a side of senseless violence. If these tears of grief were mindlessly collected, I know I would drown. Please take these gifts. Saltwater sorrows spiral with a symmetry that provides no traction, like that black ice that sends us sliding through the guardrail and over the cliff. I was already in free fall before that Thursday night. Now watch. All Akkadi turns toward a friend, toward a neighbor, and yes, even toward a stranger. We've survived storms and wars and shootings, and even the panic and the spurts of broken blood feathers. Stained pages of memory cannot be cleaned. Despite our blessings, you know that nothing is ever the same. And please don't ask, James, are you okay? Sadness and grief are not poisons, they heal us. This next piece is called The Hanging Tree. I want your sugar, raw, unrefined, and unrestricted, tracing the edges of your dark crystalline desire, ever so slow to dissolve. The calendar grid already slices the flesh of the first month into neat squares of misery. The countless drops of blood are held from our view. I knew your praise last year was off-key and maybe a little sour. These things do not bother me. I drink malt vinegar straight from the bottle. I am windproof, the flame from my father's favorite lighter. Perhaps a mistaken metaphor, sentimental smell of the flint strike and lighter fluid. James, I can't answer to the horrors of the world or even my failures on this first week of the new year. So please, stop pressing the replay button. The future is full of roofing nails, resting in the grass. Lush steel and green blades, both cold on bare soles. I prefer the dry, brown dust beneath the hanging tree. It's called These Days. I feel the grief of lost days and trampled dreams. Doomed wisdom is sinking the Solomon Islands. Flat world, round world, the twisting blade is never good. These are thirst-stricken times where cobras beg for water from strangers. Are your outstretched arms the cool embrace of baptism or fangs of vengeance? Some confuse shell game profiteering for leadership. Now we all wear white helmets and sift through the bombed out residences where truth once lived. Knives stabbing the looking glass and another oligarch dead on the sidewalk. We count the pieces of silver again, certain now that we've been cheated. Dark writings are my forte, or some like to think so. Do I want such extreme imaginings or terrible visions to haunt my readers? Perhaps. Shards of crystal are caught between my teeth. Bad timing for a month that is toasting poetry. Tell me truly, James, what have you been drinking these days? How's that time?
Yeah, 5 minutes left.
Awesome. This is called Not Emptiness. An easy climb, the gecko scales the window screen. The kitchen light beckons to winged delights, and the nighttime snack fills an emptiness. We know that Hamlet ends badly, Why do we watch the play? The moment you leave the room, the balance tips, and they rush to flee the emptiness. The sound of a bat striking the fastball recalls the sentence of an impromptu firing squad. The silence is shattered. Feel the emptiness. What can you see in these gold citrine eyes? Beyond this scene of darkness and despair, a vista of blooms, florid through the emptiness. Walking through the spider lily and jasmine, many things we remember, many things we regret. Do not let the heart be scarred by emptiness. You have told me that a glass is for drinking. Sometimes, James, you spill over a fragile fallacy. Stay thirsty. Abundance is not emptiness. This is called Own Shadow. Our vision is often smudged by fingerprints of the past. Add to this our falling awareness, and our troubles just slip into shadow. Obligation is never plain and simple. The haunting is tolerated. I never look close enough to see if your ghost has a shadow. There are many fond memories of the North, but I do not miss this season of scarves, hats, gloves, and a winter so cold that my breath casts a clear shadow. Of course, the drawing stares back. Keep working. Do not be distracted. Now carefully blend the charcoal to give this just the right hint of shadow. Your travels have brought you to this grove of trees. Here in the presence of the tallest oaks, you can tell your tale and then rest in their shade and shadow. James, set the table with the best silver and pencil out the words for the greatest of toasts. For tonight, my friend, the honored guest is your own shadow. I'll close with a final poem called The Divine Dream. When I first met Randolph Carter, we were tourists, Americans who had lost their way in a strange land. The reveal, that soft moonlight terrain, was your dream. I've crossed swords with many poison-tipped blades, not always victorious, but always making art with these words in mind: to sleep, perchance to dream. Are your lips true? So much in our world has become plastic, virtual, synthetic, simulated. I know just to be able to kiss you would make real this dream. Are you awake? The fatigue stretches the sinews, and so much is out of proportion. One drop too many of this antidote, and I will never dream. James, your moonlight scribbling must cease for now. The healing need is for the imagination to bleed into reality. Close your eyes, just dream. These words are a failure. I can only ask your patience and blessing that these poems might someday make clear some gesture, some dance in the divine dream. Thank you very much.
Thank you, J.K. McDowell. You ever felt like you needed someone to lean on? You were really tired, right? And then had that friend that said, lean on me? That's James. I don't know if anyone saw me in the back. I'm just honest, I'm tired, right? And he was like, come on, you can lean on me. And I did, and it was the most comfortable place. Thank you, I needed that. Ready for the next poem? Yes. This poet is another one of my favorite people. I know so many people. Phyllis McLaughlin Nauman. Yes, did I say that right? I struggle. Phyllis was born in the mystic land between the Mississippi River and the Capitol Lakes. She writes of mystery, awe, and light between birth and death. A recent road trip via Route 66 in New Mexico provided an opportunity to work with acclaimed writers. They cheered her words. Please give it up for Phyllis McLaughlin.
Good evening, and I'm doing something a little different tonight. So, tonight, for the first time, I will read something as Bismarck. Woo! Venus rising. Love is burning fire or humility born of ashes, entering into some cosmic furnace in order to be like a flaming sword, forged of molten metals and hammered into pointed shapes. Cupid arrows pierce the heart of the initiate. Blood flows crimson as the sunset near a forest fire. All that heat would curdle your blood, not make it flow. Ashes cool, and they turn gray. Touch them, sticking to your fingers, and your bare bent knee, you taste acrid lye. Then cycle around to another cleaning paradigm. To make so, take the ashes of your fire and the fat of your sacrifice, mix gently, add water for foamy washing. Could love start then from the foamy cool seas, waves of jet stream, waves of being, refreshing springs? Why must we always rise like the phoenix from the ashes? I want to emerge like Venus rising, cold and clean, and ever becoming. So when I'm Clinton Talos, Andrew Harvey, I'm not going to give the whole prompt because it's too long, but it's from 101 Poems of Kabir. And he said, he wounded me and vision erupted in the middle of my body and simples burst into life. Now, when did that happen in your life? Right. Heart life. High in the crotch of camphor tree, surrounded by foliage scented so deeply by green berries used as weapons and the black rifles used to ward mosquitoes. I lived in a paradise of both sunlight and deep emerald green leafy shadows. A small child, my unicorn's castle amid the boughs gave me perspective. I was the unseen, seen into the unseen. Crying into crying into black mud smeared t-shirt and drying my nose on fragrant leaves, I was part of something bigger than my family, larger than Louisiana. I leaped into the landscape, flowing muddy, dark Mississippi River, bright white river sands whose crystals that cleared mosses and crude. From the sunshine hitting closed eyes through fingered leaves, I saw the 1,000 diamonds light, each diamond more profound in its vision than the millions of the soap bubbles made in bathing of the 7 reluctant cats. Each bubble had a breath in it, each breath the breath of God. So much light and shadow reflected in soap bubbles, and sunlight crystals, and dancing motes of dust. Something happens when you become the tree and eat the sunlight in your breath. There is a giggle that starts in your belly and moves fastly into your heart. This next is an excerpt. There's a book I'm working on in progress called Dancing with Dementia. It is about many experiences with family and friends in a lifetime. Death doula. Should I write spare words today, clipped and chiseled, like the work of ice sculptures, cold and impermanent? Your warmth floods me still, with the joy of deep affection, the ease of touch between the soul blades. Yet already the concrete wall of your diagnosis looms. Sky mirrors moon, dark and huge, black and gray smudged clouds as though creator cleaning the charcoal with a huge frayed paper stump. The artist's hand softens the bleak edges. The sun valiantly fights for prominence in the sky that had opened through. This is not new territory, this place of loving while releasing, innocent, not yet for. When one day Papa placed me on the counter to earn cornbread, the next day, the unexpected specter of its teeth in a ball jar, my grandfather's mouth slack, eyes unseeing, unshaven chin stubble scratched as I kissed him goodbye. The smell of Old Spice and yesterday's cigarettes on his skin, still soft and warm. I don't say the right words, the expected words anymore at funerals, in Facebook posts, letters of sympathy. I speak of the connections that love makes, so strong that not even grief can prevent the flow of light from the other side. Like some overflowing southern river, I find myself running with spring currents. If I'm lucky, in the old black tire tube that catches the blows as I hit the log jams and the unseen obstacles below the water surface. This time around, my purpose to accompany the dying as they release their accustomed lives, pointing out moments of beauty and increasingly spare days, polishing the important while teaching to let go of the baggage of the shoulds and the coulds. A tour guide of the grotesque, or an angel holding a mirror, pointing to one's dazzling soul light, music, dancing, the smell of fresh baked bread, an old joke told for the 1,000th time, a prayer, a painting, a symphony, a dragonfly, the touch of a hand, a heart, a breast, a brow. These are the embers of a dying fire. Fly out like fireflies into our woods, lighting the way. I have to try more than God. I was given this prompt, refusing to simplify. For you to walk your way, to feel the Tao, the Chi, grace, the movement of Creator God from consciousness to a three-dimensional body, some say we must drop all attachments, simplify, release all of our things. What a dull stage we then set for the great consciousness who places performance in motion, perhaps for eternal entertainment, if all is spared, produced even in color. Agreed, there must be space to see beauty, a balance of light and shadow, objects of definition placed on foreground with contrasting background, and yes, the silence between eloquent words highlights the meaning. Paradise Lost. In comments, monks and robed nuns denounce the material world called in sufferings from spareness, miss the point that divine love is joy. True, spirit does not need things, but our spirits were intentionally clothed in body coats to experience pleasure. I need time to gather, to touch my deepest spark, but it is the feeling that I am part of elegant creation, each green aspect of nature, each crystal raindrop and rock, each scent of food or flower that to me describes majesty. I do not need my underwear folded like origami to know that my life is ordered. But I consciously choose each moment just as it chooses me. I can enjoy the bliss of silk or cotton on my skin, the sensation of cold mud between my toes, enjoy a baby's smile and heartbeat, and still come to know the all. One more. clean church? Do you continue to persevere? By what authority do you claim your calling? Will you swear to uphold the truths of the creed? The committee of four questioned for countless hours, week after week, like a deck of cards, 52 answers to be turned over one by one. When did this drilling into my sacred divine path shift? When did I realize my life was more like prophetic tarot or a hand of Boo-Ray than church simulcasting? A fool on a journey, could I leave behind the whole ways and let the tower explode like a munitions cache struck like trident, blows of lightning? Another card turned over. I choose the high priestess, the female pope. Reading historical notes, some basic flaws in old dogmatic structure revealed. A rule that once read, no woman shall be considered if she cannot truly take a seminal oath. Do people even know that not so long ago men swore on their balls and not a Bible? That which was most precious to them. The Bible, a polite replacement, when women won the right to publicly assemble. What rules did men write and then rewrite? Neither women nor eunuch may take a vow. Is not my body temple sacred and divine? Not just an enlivened rib, all of me, the sacred breath.
So that's true? They used to like, just to keep, just cut them off. Give it up for Miss Phyllis. Absolutely. Your spoken word pieces. I do. As I move forward, thank you for challenging yourself. It's fun, really, right? It's fun. So, are you guys ready for the next poet?
Oh yeah! Hold up! How you doing, everybody?
Say, my boy, what you want?
What?
You didn't come over here and then started all that noise. You got your little get up on. What you want?
I'm mayor of this here town. That's right.
We do need another one. You want to do that? Well, everybody, I'm sure we all vote you in right now.
Who wants to vote? Got my vote. Here's one.
Y'all give it up for Bruce Cohen. Murder Mystery Party, right?
Murder Mystery Dinner Theater,
Yes, 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 yes. So he and I will be co-hosting the rest of the night. So you know what that means, right? Choo, 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 choo. The train is coming, and it's your time to read stuff because it's.
Let me get my specs.
Not ready.
We're clearly sorry you are not ready for what you're going to do today. Number 4.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Well, number 4,
Guapo.
Megan Bro. Before I talk about Megan, her lovely daughter, Shia, was a wordsmith earlier today. She's in 2nd grade. And she was awesome! Now, Megan is an educator. She's a doctoral student and moonlight poet who is making her 2nd appearance on the War Crawl stage. She is an INFJ soul reader who explores the darkness and squeezes light from the blackest corners of existence. Her poetry is an in-depth character sketch of time as both dynamic antagonist and a falsely tried scapegoat standing on the edge of reality in what could have been Megan Brown! Give us what you got. Take us to that dark corners of existence.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Are we good? All right. Closer?
Make sure you
Better. All right. So I don't know if I
my introduction, but I'm going to try my best. Okay, this is a formal apology to my dreams. To writing the ghost out of my blood and reading shivers up the spines of unsuspecting listeners. To thumbs softly caressing my name tattooed on spines and cradling my words in gentle hands. To finding my audience and to my audience finding me. I'm sorry. I haven't forgotten you. As regret sits at my bedside like a wilted flower, thirsty for life and light, I haven't forgotten you. As fear hovers over my footboard, a shadow from my past pulling each toe as a reminder of how I fuck up with each step, I haven't forgotten you. As equilibrium holds me down like a weighted blanket in the dark, where I can watch you, from behind eyelids where the flower dies a slow death, I haven't forgotten you. Though it took me too long to see, equilibrium is death. As I am the flower and the shadow, as I will be death if I don't follow you. Okay, this one's a little comic relief. I call it Pray. A job application wanted my religion. I wrote in Whitman. Then proceeded to worship waltz at the altar of my keyboard. A week later, I scribbled erasure poetry on the rejection letter. We regret to inform you of equal opportunity discrimination. Amen. All right, this one's called Time. She walks like a goddess, both slowly and swiftly. Hourglass curves winding, hips swinging as pendulums sway. She's a fleeting lover, wild and passionate in appreciative eyes that wish her to stay. But she's a fickle bitch, stealing hearts and leaving lovers where they lay. She's vindictive when scorned, a bitter, destructive force like gasoline saturating paper, blurring lines amid words you couldn't say. She's a flame, burning nostrils, consuming the past, devouring the day. She's eating, ravaged, swallowing wasted minutes, spitting ashes to the cold ground like the bones of weak prey. She is a ghost, floating with clock hands, leaving you yearning, as time is always the one who got away. Okay, this one is called Flipping the Hourglass. I was born through a crack in the hourglass. Of course, we all were. Of course, the only way out is through, but the doctor forgot to slap my ass. In fact, I'm still hanging by my feet, unsure how to breathe. I just wake to inverted reality each day. Blood rush delusions are home, and I haven't yet made out the lines between truth and perception. The lines between, you write beautifully, and I just want to slap your ass are blurred. Of course, they just want to help me find air, naturally. It's all time sensitive. Everything is time sensitive, but what's another word for time? Antagonist, adversary, villain. Then again, I always root for villains. Obviously, they have the best songs. Is it possible that I spent all these years shaping time as my adversary when in actuality, I am my own antagonist? If perception is truth, then I am the hourglass in reality, or is it perception? I'm still not sure. In something, the quick fall of sand is not to blame for my not living my own dreams. Of course, the hanging man is dangling from one foot by choice, and he's the traitor in some tarot decks. as I'll be the traitor to my dreams if I don't flip myself over, root for myself, freshen my lipstick, slap my own ass, and breathe life into my dreams. Okay, I have one more. Okay, this one's called The Calm After the Storm. The horse was a hurricane towering over my 8-year-old body. A storm was painted in clouds of gray and black over her powerful body. This storm had 2 wild eyes that looked down on me the way most people did. My parents expected me to ride the storm so I could be like them. But my eyes pulled me in another direction, toward calm and a nearby pen. I saw myself in her eyes as she limped toward me, dragging her back right hoof the way I dragged my toes before the surgery. The old man noticed that I forgot about Storm and introduced me to Judy. Her ribs were visible through spilled ink markings on her unappreciated white coat. I fell in love with the blazing streak between her tranquil eyes. When she brushed her velvet muzzle against my cheek, I thread my body between barbed wire to be closer to her. And I remember my mom's disdain. "What are you going to do with a crippled horse?" I looked down at the brace on my leg and whispered, "Love her." When I looked up, my dad was writing a check. My reflection was clear in his ice blue eyes when he said, "You can love her at home." And I did.
Give it up for Megan Bro. You've probably seen people, if you've been following Word Crawl today, you've probably seen people with cameras at every one of our events. That's the wonderful, fantastic Acadian Open Channel, or AOC. They will be airing, they've been filming the entire Word Crawl today, and will be airing it, I'm not sure when, probably in the next few weeks, huh?
Eventually.
Eventually. Eventually it will be aired. So just keep, you'll have a YouTube channel, right?
Oh yes, yeah, it's on AOC, if you search AOC Lafayette YouTube.
Right.
Within the next week or so it'll be up. Yeah.
Right. And Megan was so fantastic that her daughter is also awesome. And she read first session this morning. And she's actually one of my students. She's incredible, as her mom is. So next up, we have Justin Calais, correct? Pronunciation? Calais?
Yeah.
Okay. Yee! I got it right. Justin was born in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. He's been writing poetry much of his life, but he decided to take it seriously a few years ago as a way to cope with mental health issues. Since then, he has been published in the Writers Guild of Acadiana's anthology, as well as published his own book, Society? Society. I mean, yeah, okay. Society. Doesn't look like it. With 2 sequels to come. Come on up, Justin!
Sheriff, we need some help out here.
All right, that's better. Thank you. Tonight I'll be reading a couple short stories. 2 of them are in the Writers Guild anthology. This one is called Daddy's Little Monster. An over 4-hour drive and a morning spent hopping from lawyer office to lawyer office. Where did the day go? Well, it doesn't matter where did it go. What's more important is where it's going. Today will end with me leaving this undisclosed maximum security prison with my daughter, who has been wrongfully detained for some odd days now. The only grounds they're allowed to apprehend her is on the fact that she was born what she is. The head guard leads me down the corridor and stops in front of a giant steel door with an X imprinted in its construction. With a doubtful sigh and disapproving head shake, he punches a code in an adjacent keypad. The guard, who were supposed to be watching me, are occupied with their own whispers. The topic of discussion is my daughter. Neither they nor the public need worry how about a normal man like me will handle such a special girl. These steel walls and frigid personnel cannot give her the basic level of affection every creature deserves. The force of a father's love is greater than any weapon on earth. Gears clank and clunk as the door separates and disappears into the wall. My daughter is finally revealed to me in a distressed state that makes my heart weep. She wears a straitjacket bound with chains that'll be held by 2 guards who are holding her back like a rabid dog. Every struggle she takes to break free hurts my heart even more. I try reaching out to her, but the guards pull me back. No matter what the documents say, she isn't fully into my custody until she goes through the releasing process. She grows increasingly agitated, fighting the guards even more. I manage to pull away from those holding me back and get a few feet closer to her. This is when I get a crack across my skull from behind. Trying to get up becomes a difficult task with a size 13 boot on my back. My daughter sees it all. Hurting me, her father was the biggest mistake they could make. She takes in a mighty deep breath, releasing a terrible sonic shriek. The invisible wave of horrible energy brings the guards to their knees before finally collapsing to the floor. I rise, wiping away dribbles of blood from my nose. To hear that beautiful yet horrible sound again brings tears of joy to my eyes. She might be a monster to most, but to me she's a God-given gift, and I embrace that gift with all my might. Upon releasing her restraints, I discover I'm not receiving my daughter in the same condition she was taken from me. I look into her amber eyes. Those haven't changed. Her hair is still long and brown, but her wings, where are her wings? And her tail, what have they done to her? These monsters. She tells me upon entry that her wings and tail were cut off. She still has her fangs and claws, because there's no substance in a guard's possession tough enough to cut them. She says now she can fit better into society. She can get a boyfriend and go to college. I detest her statements, letting her know that any boy or college would accept her as she was. She smiles, grabs my hand, and together we walk out that corridor. She asks about her mother. Why didn't she come with me? I tell her your mother was one of those people who didn't deserve your presence. So I got rid of her. Just like I will rid this planet of everyone who isn't deserving of your beautiful presence. Diane. This next short is called The Coroner. He's entered this sterile room many times before, but every time he does, it feels like the first time. He's wearing enough clothes to keep him warm through the winter, but it isn't enough to keep the chill from running up his spine. It sucks that he has to take off his jacket and scarf to don gloves and apron and some goggles, but that doesn't keep him warm in the frigid room. There are 2 females waiting for him when he arrives. One is wearing the same apron, gloves, and goggles as he. The other is naked on a cold table, lifeless. The body is covered, but the outline of the female form is very visible. The living female stands over it as she sips her coffee. She then notices her partner behind her. Dr. Logan, she says, you're late. I've been waiting for you to uncover this body. I know you like to be just as surprised as I am when we peeled back the sheets. I almost uncovered it without you. Sorry, Diana, he apologizes to his partner. There's some road construction going on which caused me to take an alternate route to get here to the morgue. What brings this corpse to us this morning? Murder victim, Diana states. Now that her partner is ready to examine the body, Diana wastes no time ripping the sheets to reveal the young female who isn't much older than she is. Compared to the white-haired Dr. Logan, Diana and the corpse are children to him. He hates to see murder victims so young, but as a coroner, he's going to see various dead bodies of different ages. The body is bruised, especially around the neck, but there are no signs of puncturing of the skin. Dr. Logan quickly grabs a scalpel and makes a deep incision down the frozen torso. Right away, he and Diana notice something wrong. Her heart isn't in the right place, Diana states. How could her organs have moved if she hadn't been cut? Dr. Logan smirks. Her heart isn't in the right place because she isn't human. This last piece is called Crimson Puddles. Usually when a group of kids discover death when riding their bikes at night, they stumble across something cool, like a dead animal. The difference between riding your bike in the woods and in the concrete jungle is that the dead body you find belongs to a human being. Their tires almost slip and the crimson puddles spilling out the bullet holes that have now become part of the flesh. One kid thinks they should keep riding and act like they haven't seen anything. The second thinks that they should get help, but calling the cops isn't an option. To them, dealing with cops is scarier than seeing a dead body. They're so scared that they might end up swimming in their own crimson puddles. In the movies, when kids are riding their bike at night, they come across something cool like treasure or an alien. In the movies, kids are scared of ghosts and killer clowns. But these kids aren't like most kids in the movies. To these kids, crimson puddles are more common than they should be. Their nightmares involve bullet holes, drugs, and impoverished neighborhoods. They don't get kidnapped by mass murders or abducted by aliens. The only demons that haunt their homes are abusers and deadbeats. What these kids wouldn't give to live in the horror movies. At least they feel they had a chance to survive. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin Collin, lyrically inclined poet, author, wonderful person. You guys enjoyed that?
Yeah.
Y'all tired yet?
No.
Did you have enough to drink?
Yes.
Are you sure?
No.
Then you need to make sure that you take a second and go to the bar and get something. It's Louisiana and it's Lafayette. This is what we do. It's in our DNA. It's our blood. I'm surprised we aren't made of alcohol. Y'all ready for the next poet?
Yeah.
That was the lamest shit out. People write their emotions and you go, oh yes, ready. That's it. He's about to come up here and cry. Oh man, he can come up here. That's Lafayette. That's Lafayette. We go. That's all right though. We gonna make America great. Anyway, y'all give it up. I quit. Y'all give it up for Don Mitchell. Don was a 2007 Fayetteville, Arkansas National Poetry Slam team member and is now the August 2019 Lyrically Inclined Poetry Slam champion. And I'm gloriously petty. You champion right now, Don. But I'm gonna look at it. So y'all give it a warm round of applause for Don Mitchell.
For the 9 months I carried you, holding you inside me, no charge. See, when I was young, about age 8, my father was dead. My life wasn't straight. My mother got drunk all day and night. Alcohol filled visions of a blurry sight. I remember the time she slept on the floor, she couldn't move. Old Foster had taken control. The boy I was could not stand the grief, so I went to church to find relief. As a child, I played with my toys a lot. I grew up to play touch football on the block. It was hot. My mother kept on getting drunk. And me, I thought to myself what I'd done. My father was killed by the hands of his brother in the same house where I visited. My grandmother didn't like the place. So I left. I'm headed back home all by myself. I remember roll call at 4 in the morning. My mother woke up the house before dawn. I'm the youngest of 11, so I got spoiled. Our actions heated up like water boiled. My brother and mother started slinging dough, something with which we could not cope. We moved on to another place, making cash money and fast was the pace. And in the time I decided to drink, I smoked weed, slang dope. I did not think, I refused any clues to follow rules. The life I live was the life that I choose. My mother quit drinking, her kidneys went down. She went to dialysis in another town, so time went by way too fast. I was getting drunk like she did in the past. Then my mother had a heart attack and a stroke. It felt like swallowing glass down my throat. I say, Mama, if you die, I'm coming with you. She said, no, I don't want you to do that, boo. Then a year passed by like I out the game because those weed drinking drove me insane. Then a hardcore dose of reality. My mother done died so desperately. Then thoughts of getting drunk crossed over my head. I fought at God for not taking me instead, because the insanity only reminded me of the late 70s on to the 80s. My mother is gone now. My nerves were cracking up. I did not take a 40, pop the top and then turn it up. I dealt with the pain and I walked through the storm. My mother is gone. I want her back at home. I was feeling depressed when I passed the coffin. My parents gone, now I'm a ghetto orphan. Now answer to the Holy Master, God have mercy on your children. I did not pray for months to come. I should have thanked my Lord for what he's done. Why? I didn't want to see her live in vain. I'll do anything to erase the pain. I thought make some changes will do the job, but I find it difficult to live. It's hard, and these resentments don't make it better. It's not easy to keep my head up. My mind craves thoughts of retaliation. God will judge my situation. Nevertheless, I express regret because the pain I endure, I'll never forget. My mother's gone. Thank you. Diana, you don't need a baby at your age. Darryl, you don't need a baby at your age. Christina, you don't need a baby at your age. Please give your bodies a chance to grow up and develop into an adult. See, she endured much abuse as a child while exposing the enemy inside her home. He stood, a 6-foot ghost, wrapped within tissues and flesh, inflicted psychological torture while her suicidal mother is smoking battery acid in the bathroom. She is wasted. She's too high to envision the demise in her child's cries while her friends began to manifest unprovoked peer pressure. Infested poison between their teeth. The truth they did not speak. They mispronounced their forefathers' misfortunes while masquerading how their lives is much, much better. Therefore, I dedicate this letter to every teenage female who is thinking about having a baby. Don't do it. Please, for God's sake, don't do it. You are just a child yourself. Think about it. I know the desire is strong and the love is even stronger for you to deliver that baby. But the limited amount of days you spend on this earth is a witness against the wisdom you lack to properly raise one. So please get some understanding first before you do something that you will later regret. You are better than that. You deserve better than that. A condensed conscience consumes concise credibility foolishness. You don't need foolishness in your life because you are an angel. That deserves a healthy baby when you're old enough and grown up enough to deliver it in righteousness. Thank you.
Lyrically inclined poet. You just believe me like Kevin Hart did Shaq? I can't do this. I haven't figured out a really good way to pick on my tall poets. I got the Oompa Loompa song for my short poets. And then my average size poets, that's me. So we don't need to talk about me. Ready for the next poet?
Yes.
Good job, you learned. Great job. Good job. How many chorus working? I'm quit. Kimberly Ann Southwick. Kimberly is a PhD candidate at UL Lafayette in English and creative writing. She's one founder of Gigantic Sequence, a literary journal in print for over 10 years. Please give a warm round of applause.
Read one from my chapbook published by Hyacinth Girl Press, really great press. It's called, of course I would say that, but it really is a very great press. President and Preterite, it's in 3 parts. 1. Try to explain too late in an education how there is no future tense, and we only hear there is no future. As if science class hadn't scared us enough, we are eating less meat and taking more public transit. If we aren't the only ones riding, we find it easier to get from here to there. Plus, we can look out the window at the river and calculate the exact moment we've crossed the state line. 2. On either side of a sharp sword, Guinevere and Lancelot slept to prove their platonic relationship reigned. They parried accusations that they could be 2 different people at once, that their public and private selves were separate, though their fingers interlocked secretly beneath the folds of white sheets. Behind closed doors, the sword proved an illusion of singularity. The lovers were plural. Gwen and Lance lay, hearts ready to leap from chests, at a key in the lock of the wooden door. 3. How do we tell them? We know what will become of you both. We choose instead not to. We tiptoe in as they sleep. We silently slide the sword from the bed and replace it with a snake and an apple. We pray. Lead us not into this uncertain future where cars run on fossil fuels, when flocks of birds drop dead in middle America. The cracks in the earth from the most recent quake startle at the curse. Don't tell them when they wake. They'll find the sword beneath the bed. Watch. From the digital video camera hidden in the medieval drapery, the panic flare in their eyes. Then the release. Never again to worry or wait for the rusted key sounding in the lock. The relief at the thought. They know. All right, this one is called Plath and Arbus. It's about Diane Arbus, the photographer of really weird stuff, and Plath, obviously Sylvia Plath, literary crowd, don't need to explain her. 1. Sylvia, Scorpio blonde with a fistful of daffodils. Diane, all camera, her PC's haircut blurring into the background. Their energies, both chemical, like a metal taste that only worsens with water. Would they minkle or roar? A vase appears for the flowers. Sylvia, her heart brays. Diane, the elder, presses the button that closes the loud shutter. The living room, atrocious. They agree with curt nods. 2. Though kindred spirits, even had they met, the women still would have wound up dead, butterfly effect be damned. Their art still catapulted to a darker fame, given their dark frames, given a harder look due to their incomprehensible deaths and humanity's drive to comprehend the incomprehensible. If their spirits were to find a patterned couch after the gas and barbiturates, a couch where someone living once spilled a cup of coffee, creating a stain that never quite would come out of the upholstery. Sylvia, now even younger, she went first. What might they say of the way their lives have been used to define their works? I imagine them both clapping their own hands together at once with frustration at a fly they, bodiless, can't swat. A fly who knows they are on that couch somehow. 3. Though why a room? Why a couch? Why not Coney Island or the corpse of Notre Dame, yet somewhere in France floating amongst tourists? Diane saying, these are the real freaks, and Sylvia trying to lock eyes with the largest man she can find, though only if he has a kind mouth, not the kind that might, with its teeth, rip a hole in a blouse for amusement. Surrounded by millennials with whom they have nothing in common, their difference is now more apparent than when exchanging pleasantries about the flowers or sipping Earl Grey, worrying their sleeves, or word choices might not fit as they should in the eyes of the observant other. A cyclone of her own. 1, I don't know why I chose to read all my poems in parts. Anyway. 1, my mother, a storm. The word other, never near the tip of her tongue. She could strip a PC to its parts, lie on her back in the grass, changing the oil, stand up, still beautiful. Strumming the guitar, her quiet voice now so often my own, she showed me labor only sometimes means fruits divine. My father, an orange, harder to peel, nothing rhymes with him. Like if she were the apple, well, you know the cliche. His needy heart and the art of the watch, the game, its tick, clock, kick, no storm about him. Sometimes rain though. 2. And why should we not obsess over the myth of Eve when held true by so many, capital T, truth declared a fiction, the gravity of Einstein, yet their book reigns royal and right to so many. Hail, mother, box of lace, the cords be with you. Blessed are we who come loudly, not the quiet eye of the storm, but its gale, hoping the neighbors can hear. Amen. This one's called Curse. I have a little date at the top, April 13th, 2017, because our terrible president dropped a terrible bomb on that day, and that's why I wrote this poem. Oh Demeter, it's spring now. Pocket the sun, its beast and bromide. Squeeze the life from rain-spent worms multiplying on sidewalks. Summer beats its chest. A mother lies on her back. Birth as tempest, holy bulletproof labor, the age of every woman, a spent Merlot, blackberry, and hallelujah. Oh, the porcupine, his missile quills, who gave the name of an unmarried bride to such a phallic destructress, cast in her role today. As a 22,000-ton orange cock striped black, I can't even. Can you even? Power, crosshairs, power, stick a missile in my eye, hope, hope, hope to die. Bury me home in the nearest woods, please. Oh, the pine barrens, tall, thin dicks eating sky. They say the Jersey Devil was the 13th child of Mother Leeds, born from her curse. If I'd had 12 children and no birth control, bidden to copulate with a man who owned our home, bought me in a sale barely disguised as impoverished love to clean, feed, sew, nurse, cook, if I'd known nothing else, I'd worse than curse my womb. Do you hear me, Demeter? Unbury yourself. The name of this bomb is Mother Leeds. The name of this curse is mother leaves the trees. Breathe, mother leads, whip me to my knees, onto the ground, whisper me into this forest bed. Good night. I try to end on a happy one. It's called Salt Lamp Life. I'm on this aloe plant life, this salt lamp life. My desk, like a terrarium, a microcosm of sustainability. My planner, lake green and open to today's list of things to do. My laptop on and glowing its sick milky glow, open to what will distract me from that to-do list. My wallet is out and open, buying plane tickets I can't afford, to weddings I just can't miss. My cousin's fiance, he probably voted for someone I would not vote for, but still I buy the tickets, buy the two of them a beach chair and a cooler from their registry with money I don't have, will still cry at their wedding. I'm on this many multicolored pens life, this you didn't know there were this many sizes of Post-it note life, this apple-shaped paperclip holding me together life. My stapler isn't really a shark, and these books aren't going to read themselves, I know, and this other lamp, with its pole chain and green hood, was stolen from a library for real. This stack of coasters, I swiped them unblemished from glossy bar tops and air-conditioned pubs when, with a smile and unmistakable New Jersey accent, I asked the guy in black mixing drinks to please get me some water, minimal ice, and after he acquiesced, I slid into near evening and let it wrap its thick arms around me like someone ripped was giving me a nice hug. Table savers, snug, in this actually vintage purse, wearing my not actually Prada sunglasses, and slicing through this humidity like a pearl-toed foot into any old bathtub. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Kimberly and Southwick. We are down to our last poet of the evening, not only of the evening, but of the 2019 Word Crawl! Word Crawl! Yeah, well, and it's very fitting that our last poet of our 2019 Word Crawl is a very, very, very good friend of the Festival Awards family, Mr. Tony Daswick. Toby has been involved with Festival Awards and Word Crawl forever. He's also co-director of the National Writing Project of Acadiana at the University of Louisiana, Lafayette. He's also interim department head of curriculum and instruction. He is currently finishing his first full-length poetry book to be published by Portals Press out of New Orleans in 2020. Toby Daswick. Yeah.
Poet laureate Chishaw Milosh says, when it hurts, we return to the banks of certain rivers. Thursday night I was hurting at 104.4 fever with this infection that happens every 3 or 4 years. It hits like the flu. I was too weak to go to the drugstore. I had to have the antibiotics delivered. And they helped get the fever down. But the real thing that got me out here was you all in this absolutely incredible event. Think about it, 12 hours of literary readings for people who have to raise money to do it. It's my second favorite day of the year, and my favorite is the actual festival, which will be November 1st and 2nd in Grand Coteau. We'll see you there. It was also hurting on August 4th. I went to bed the night before with the shooting in El Paso, and we woke up to the shooting in Dayton, which is all too frequent in this really screwed up country. As I was thinking about organizing poems, what you're going to get is an edited version of a reading I gave at Maple Leaf that day, trying to trace the arc of what poetry can do. And I'm going to start from the intensely personal and hopefully move to some universal things about why we do this, why we stand up in front of people and share. And there's 10 poems, I think it's 9 poems. I'm going to read them without a break. So I guess if you're going to applaud, you can hang on till the end. What follows is admittedly not poetry. What follows can't be captured with words. What follows is pure, unadulterated desire. What follows is wrenched from lucid dreams. What follows is only possible because of us. This is what follows. Missing you with an ache that permeates DNA. First morning breath searching for you. Memory flood of watching you read poetry for the first time in public. Sitting next to you earlier that day, sinking into dark comfort connection couch. A week later, sitting on my couch, selling into first touches, first kisses, first explorations of exquisite naked truths. Another week and sweltering air spin, ceiling fan, your body completely vulnerable to my touches. Fingertip decoding of orgasmic mystery and sculpting your spine so every nerve-ending screams. Then museum moonwalks, twisted ovaries, gallery kisses and eyes that swirl with ravenous hunger for future evolution. After the first death, there is no other. Too soon, too soon, too soon. Once, while you were still here, I wanted to walk on water, disappear under Calvary Cross. There are no majestic monuments, no moss-strangled markers for things that matter most. Too soon, too soon, too soon. Like you sitting on that blue chair, original 1968 furniture our parents bought for the new house when I was 2. When you were hippie-bound with that dark incense-soaked upstairs bedroom that was forbidden to me. Too soon, too soon, too soon. Like clunky piano playing 45 minutes a day, though we both called it an hour, trying to learn at least one Bruce Springsteen song all the way through so you could show me off to your friends. Too soon, too soon, too soon. Like today, setting out to investigate piney woods, looking for something smooth, instead picking up a fledgling pine cone and some desiccated cocklebird, both more prickly than I imagined. Too soon, too soon, too soon. Like cool mathematics that don't lie. I was 16 when you died. You were 30. That was over 34 years ago. I have lived 84.19% of my life with you gone each moment, increasing that percentage. Too soon, too soon, too soon. I want to walk on water, or at least believe in something that can. This one actually has a title, Unbroken, for Raymond Carver and you. Woke up and read from a broken book of poetry. Ballast words anchoring spine eyes. Broke shells for a 3-egg omelet, spinach, cheese, splashes of habanero. Found a movie about words, about people who stuff their hearts with their promise. Closed my eyes, saw sunset hieroglyphs, imagining how your mind fingers trace translations between the moon and here. The fog gathered on the bayou earlier than usual tonight, enough for everyone to comment on it on the drive back to our folks' house. In a few hours, it will suffocate everything, making driving on instinct all but impossible, forcing hands to grip even tighter. Sometimes there are languages hidden where our eyes can't see, where our senses deceive us into thinking that we can't fathom what is right in front of us. The fog will eventually burn off mid-morning. Everything that was cloaked will then be visible, will reappear, even though it was never gone, only shrouded in temporary phenomena meant to wither. My dad fumbled for words more than usual today at lunch, confusing not only the waitress, but us. Where am I, he asked more than once, claiming to know where the forest was and where beyond was, and knowing that this place was never those things. It took a while for my mom to explain to the waitress and to us that those were clubs on the main highway between where she grew up and where he did. We drove that main highway on the way back home, as we have countless times, as it has tethered my dad to my mom's family for over 60 years and has a long cord wrapped around my heart too. He noted where the forest and beyond should have been, understood that the buildings were no longer there, that some things have changed, but not that much, he insisted. The road looks pretty much the same. I was driving my mom's car, and everyone in the car knew that there weren't going to be too many more of these lunches. What with the way time is, the way things change, even if not that much. I used to scrawl poetry everywhere, back of bar coasters, sticky cocktail napkins, convenience store receipts, Sunday comics, road maps, atlases, cereal boxes, candy wrappers. Sometimes when I couldn't find a pen, I'd scrape words with soap on bathroom mirrors, trace letters on foggy rearview mirrors, carve stanzas in wet sand. Once, I accidentally cut myself shaving and dripped blood on tissue paper. Poets, always dragging our eyeballs across unvarnished lumber, then begging someone, anyone, to scrape out the splinters. Poets, always weaving fine gossamer threads, carefully setting sticky webs, then walking away. What good will it do to deny that I've dreamed precise, taxidermical dreams of your porcelain touch? Poets, hallucinating brain sweat, sweet froth, bubbling desire. Poets, dripping inspired chocolate on the tips of our fiery tongues, and then swallowing the evidence. Flying is for fools who have never properly learned to drag their bellies in the dust. Milosz says, in the very essence of poetry, there is something indecent. A thing is brought forth which we didn't know we had in us. So we blink our eyes as if a tiger had sprung out and stood in the light, lashing his tail. It is the poem. It is the word, the syllable, the letter, the pen between silken fingers, the limp wrist poised over keyboard. It's the solitude of separation. It is these things and more which forced me to the white page tonight, sketching another misplaced shadow for you. It's another collection of poems, yesterday Wachowski, today Pickard, tomorrow Carver, and no one could guess who else. Poet to poet to poet, the ceaseless rhythm of text and texture. There are two very surprised tigers tonight that await to find me latching on to their tails. What would I give to have you curl up beside me for just one single, carefully measured moment and stare at these words we share together? Time, or at least the cheap watch on my left arm that foolishly tries to enclose it. Thank you.
All right, y'all.